Hello and welcome to a special episode of the Beach Court Podcast. This is our bonus episode. We still have our regular bi-weekly episodes, but here we have a special bonus episode where right now we're interviewing Brandon Baughn right off a second place finish, the Los Angeles Regional Championships with Lugia V-Star. My name is Maddox Corcoran. I'm joined by Eric Ridgway, and pass it over to Brandon. I mean, Brandon, congrats on the big finish. I know it's been a long time coming. You've been putting a lot of time in, and congrats. How are you feeling?
Hey, Maddox, Eric, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it, guys. I'm feeling good. It's crazy, man. I mean, that was two days ago playing, and now we're here. Crazy run. Got a lot of good matchups. Last one didn't go my way, but hey, man, I was just in shock, man. They just have made it that far. And I mean, man, it was a great weekend. Had my wife was there. A lot of our local community was also there. I live in Northern California, so we're all about like 5 hours from LA. So had a good amount of people there, so it's cool.
There you go. The home state regional, locking it
Yeah,
down, protecting the state, and
yeah.
a big finish. So I know you said, you kind of grazed across a lot of, I had some good matchups. Things went my way, but you ultimately made the choice to walk into the LA Convention Center and play Lugia V Star. So what made you come to that, and what about the meta change to make you feel confident for LA?
Well, kind of surprisingly, I mean, this is the second event I was at this season where I've already have the invite, so I'm kind of like open to kind of playing anything, kind of. But I actually walked into that convention center on Friday with my mind being set to play Future Hands.
Mm.
I like playing with max rarity cards. I was hitting up all the vendors searching for that. I just needed one more of the alt art Iron Hands. I picked it up, submitted my deck list, got to the hotel, woke up in the morning, and I'm like, I don't think I'm going to do this. So Saturday morning, I changed the deck to Lugia.
Wow.
But anyways, to answer your question a little bit more, basically, I mean, I played Lugia last season, played a whole bunch of single strike, tried, where you put the Urshifu, and then maybe you play the Duraludon as well, kind of playing different builds. I've made it to day two a few times with it before, but haven't had the success that I had this past weekend. So I mean, it was it's just a deck that I had a lot of experience with, and I was like, I mean, you know what everyone says, play something you feel comfortable with, right? And that's what I did, and it ended up paying off.
Yeah, I mean, that's wild. Like to kind of like just pick your deck on Saturday morning before the tournament. I mean, like when you got to round one, did you feel like you had made a good decision at round one?
Yeah. So funny enough, round one, my opponent didn't even show up. So
I remember seeing that. Yeah.
I'm just
Okay.
sitting there. I'm like, all right, cool. So yeah, my round one opponent doesn't show up, and I'm like, all right, got the first dub. But yeah, man, after my kind of friends, just people, I hear people talking like, oh man, like all of these players are playing control, and I'm like, all right, this seems pretty good. We'll see how the rest of the rounds go, and we started hitting some like Lost Zone Tina. We hit an Arc Tina, Lost Zone Box, a couple Dialgas, as well as the controls throughout those rounds on day one. And everything just kept going how it needed to go.
Yeah. So I mean, going from no show round one with a deck you just decided on a few minutes before, to I don't know the exact time, but we'll say 8:30, 9 p.m. You had just beaten Lucas Zing to become the only undefeated player left in the tournament. Like at that moment, like what's your thought? You're 9-0 at the end of day one. Like what's going through your head right there?
That was insane. I had an 8-1 start in Vancouver. So to go 9-0, I'm thinking, man, I just needed that one more win in Vancouver, so I should be able to do it this time. And then
Were you
first,
8-0 in Vancouver, you said?
yeah, I was 8-0, and then I
Wow.
lost. I lost round 9, and then kind of, just was able to get this extra win. And then got the 3 wins in a row. So it was awesome. I got a scoop to people that I wanted to see in the top 8.
Yeah, I mean that's the incredible part. I mean, I know we'll get to it later, but right, you're at 37 match points by the time round 13 was over. So now you're just here in the driver's seat of the tournament saying, "Oh, good matchup for me. Yeah, you can join me in cut." Like,
Yeah.
all these different parts. You mentioned earlier, you touched on the control decks, right? So again, most players, if you go to locals, at least at our locals, right? Anytime someone rolls up playing control or a Snorlax stall, everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, I gotta avoid this guy. I don't want to play against this deck." You played against how many controls did you play against day one? Like 3 or 4, I think, based off
Yeah,
your matchups.
I think it was like 4. I think it
So
was
yeah.
one stall. So one of the
Mhm.
the block Snorlax stall, and then I believe it was 3 controls.
So what makes the matchup like so comfortable for you or for like Lugia V Star? So that maybe, someone playing at locals, if they want a better chance in the control, they say maybe I'll just play Brandon's Lugia deck.
Yeah, well, here's a funny thing is I wasn't testing against control or stall because I just felt like, all right, this is a good matchup. I don't really need to do that much testing against it. But I mean, Snorlax control, I mean, you play all the 4 jet energies, and you have all the switch outs and everything.
And
And
Prime
even
Catcher
without
as
the
well.
prime, yeah, I had the prime catcher in there as well. So I felt pretty good. Felt pretty good, just being able to retreat. I feel like when you're selecting a deck, sometimes, obviously you're going to have your bad matchups and your good matchups. And, it was able to have a lot of those good matchups there with all the switching outs and hitting control after control. So,
Yeah, I mean, it looks like you hit 3 controls day 1, and 3 controls day 2. Even a 4th one that you scooped to round 14. So,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, like you just kind of had a really, had a really good read on. There's going to be a lot of control this weekend, and like Lugia was a good play, and it's kind of weird though, like how you go from a deck that beats a deck to the other deck. Like you went from Future Hands to Lugia, and like Future Hands and the Lugia is like almost free in the current format.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get to next format in a little bit, but like what made you decide to go from a deck like that? Did you just think people weren't going to play Future Hands?
Well, I mean, I'll be honest. Like, I mean, I was on Dialga and Lugia for a
Mhm.
while. If I was gonna play Lugia, I already had the 60 that I wanted to play ready to go. For Dialga, I was just gonna play Andrew Hedrick's list if I went that route. I had one of my buddies, Raymond, who made day 2 with the hands, was heavily convincing me to play it. Don't have that much experience with the deck, which is what turned me off of it.
Mhm.
But he's just explaining, you don't have to really do that much. But I'm like, second guess that Saturday morning, I was like, dude, it doesn't matter what you say, man. I'd rather play something that I feel comfortable with, that I have a lot of games with. So that's why I just made that switch. Yeah.
And
Yeah, I
I think you're
mean,
definitely rewarded for that choice as well.
yeah, I mean, those of you that are
Yeah.
listening and like prepping for New Orleans, right? Like that's a good lesson right there. Like if you're not comfortable in a deck and your friend's trying to get you to play it, Maddox, I do that to you sometimes. So sorry. Um, just like if you're not comfortable, then don't play it. That's okay. And it's okay to say no and play what you're comfortable. And because like the meta is very wide, right? So just play what you're comfortable with and just play it well. And yeah, go from there. Maddox, you want to talk about, day 2 and his top 8 run?
Yeah, I mean, again, right, you were locked into top 8 early, right? I remember seeing interviews, I think after round 13, you talking with Adam on the broadcast. It's like, yeah, I'm locked into top 8. Like, it's round 13. And I go check your record. I'm like, oh, he's already 1201. And like,
Yeah.
so I mean,
Yeah.
how are you feeling there? I mean, again, just the Incredibles day 1, and then just the heat just continued into day 2. You already got those 3 wins you needed, and you're just
Yeah.
like sitting there. Like, how does that feel? What's that
I
even
mean,
like?
yeah, even going into that 13th round, that's the first time I was on stream over the weekend, and I was playing against Ian Robb.
Mhm.
I knew what he was playing, so I was like, all right, we should be pretty good, and just had the good starts. But I mean, man, it was it was crazy. Like after I got that win, I was like, holy crap, I'm in top 8. Like I don't have to do anything else.
Yeah.
Like so after that match, they didn't have time to interview me. So so they kind of just jumped into the next round. I scooped to
Mhm.
my opponent. I haven't really ate anything on day 2 yet. I'm in the back eating chicken strips, and one of the stage crew comes to the back, like, well, I just started eating, just like, come on right now. So I was like, all right, we're going. So that's when they interviewed me like outside and not in the lounge, because there was another match going on while I was getting interviewed. So
It's a wild day. And
yeah.
chicken tenders after 12:01 start.
Yeah.
Everyone, that's the secret to success.
Yeah, well deserved. Well deserved for sure.
Yeah.
So I guess in the top 8, right? You know, if once you saw the bracket, I guess you're probably pretty thrilled about everyone there, except for maybe Nico, another friend of the pod. You know, trying to, you know, but you weren't paired up against the one future hands. But again, lots of control. You actually hit the Lugia mirror, which I don't know if anyone had on their bingo card. So walk us through top 8. I mean, I know we saw your top 4 match on stream, but top 8 just against control. Was that the person that you had scooped to earlier,
So
or
yeah,
was that your ID in the last round?
Yes. So top 4 was the person, the other Lugia player that we just decided to ID. But I will say this, there was a match up round 15. It was Hale playing against Caleb. So if Hale would have won, I didn't double check this, but I believe if Hale won, he would have took in like the 7th seed, and I would have got paired up with future hands during top 8. So I was pretty happy that like Caleb won that match to get in there.
Yeah, he's playing control too. It was like way better for you, right?
Yeah. He was just playing the Snorlax, like the Snorlax stall. So it was a way better matchup for me going into starting off with top 8. So
there you go. And then the Lugia mirror. We saw some of the techs come out there. Again, you chose like Prime Catcher. Even saw like the Mortys, the Serena. I know you said you had this list locked in for a while. I mean, has something that made you settle on some of those cards, and maybe a choice like Prime Catcher over other consistency cards like Master Ball?
Yeah, I mean, Prime Catcher felt so good. I mean, in most of my testing, I was mainly testing against like Lost Box and Charizard. The Prime Catcher just felt so good in those turns where you like research and then you get what you need, and then you Prime Catcher up like that Pidgeot with the Chinchino. Like, oh my god, that's insane. I mean, you play 4 Ultra, 4 Capturing Aroma, the 2 Great Balls, like that's already 10 Pokemon search right there, right? Like the Master Ball in the testing, just Prime Catcher just felt so much better like every single time. Like mostly I was using Master Ball just to thin a card from the deck, like pretty much every time I was using it. So
basically,
yeah, that's not the value you want to be getting from an A spec, right? You want an A spec to be like that powerful, like game turning card.
Yeah.
I mean, what like the first, like talk about like the first time you played Prime Catchers at the tournament in your Lugia deck, and somebody was like what was the reaction like when you played Prime Catcher for the first time? Maybe round 2, like you know, round 2 you played against Jason Hayer. I don't know what they were playing. I can look at your thing to remind you a little bit. They were playing Stall. Yeah. So you hit Stall round 2. Like when you played Prime Catcher, did they go, huh?
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah. When I played Caleb in top 8, he was actually able to Eerie the Prime Catcher both times he played Eerie. But the jet energies the jet energies are enough. So I mean, I wouldn't really tech the Prime Catcher in there for the stall matchup. I think it's just more I had it for that smaller win percentage against like Chen Pao, you know, maybe to kind of steal a game if I go first to get their Greninja up, knock out 2 Friggies to kind of try to get ahead that way. I was able to, on day 1, I was able to Mew EX Prime Catcher up a Greninja to knock out 2 Beldums, which was pretty good. So I'm just saying, like, the possible plays that the Prime Catcher Mew EX had was insane. Like, honestly, if I didn't have the Prime Catcher in one of those matches against Dialga on day 1, I think I would have lost one of those games against Dialga.
Yeah, that Prime Catcher Greninja play, that's saucy.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right. We do got to talk about finals a little bit, right? So this was actually a rematch against Lucas Singh, who you played round 9, and beat him there, right? Obviously, you know, we saw how it went, right? You know, you hit him with the Iono, he got what he needed off the Iono in game 3. Again, I guess break down like how did that series and finals kind of feel compared to day one? I know you played a lot of control. Obviously Lucas was playing very, very well. Also had pieces like the Entei and a couple other ways to pressure Lugia's more than like other conventional controls. So I guess just maybe talk us through maybe how that matchup went or what felt different between like your day one and day two series. Just kind of how you're feeling with all that.
Yeah, okay. On day one, we were able to get 2 Archeops on the field on turn 2 each game.
That's pretty
And
good.
yeah. And on day 2, I mean, I mean, in finals, I'll mainly talk about game 3. Hitting that heads off of the capturing aroma on that first turn, like destroy. Like, I didn't have anything in hand. It was energies, a boss, and a Serena. So we didn't have that many options. And then on my second turn, what I did was kind of something that I kept debating back and forth in my head, where I used a Luminion to grab a Jock. After I rewatched the game yesterday, I probably should have just grabbed a Iono to potentially get a Minchino and also just disrupt his hand as well. So I kind of wish I could kind of go back, but I can't believe it was that game still ended up being that close after all of that. Like, man, it came down to that Ionoing. I think he had 13 cards in his hand, and he for sure had Arvin. He had a counter catcher in his hand, maybe 2 Arvin. But he only had like 3 outs in his deck off of the Iono, and just drawing the counter catcher. I was like, oh my God, man, that was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think to your point, I mean, the part that I really like there is, even you're still looking back and analyzing the gameplay. I think a mistake that we see a lot of players fall into is this, oh, I was doing great. Oh, and I bricked, and then I had a slow setup, and then I lost from there, right? You didn't come on and say that. You said like, hey, hey, I had, I didn't have the greatest start. I made this one play that like I think about still, not sure what was correct, and made it as close as I could, but maybe that one action could have helped or gotten you a different way. I mean, I think that just shows a lot of, maturity as a player, and again, a lot of your growth, right? You've had your invite for at least a month or so, at least a couple months or so now. Like I said, you've had a few tournaments where you've been able to just play for fun, and yeah, for someone who's just hopped into the game competitively a couple years ago, I think it's just some strong testament as a player, and again, that big day 2 run you've been waiting for.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean,
Yes.
it's awesome, man.
Yeah, man, so let's
Uh,
talk about a little bit of the tech cards you include in your list before
Yeah.
we transition to cards you want to include in NAIC format. Some of the cards that kind of stand out to me. We talk about Prime Catcher a lot. I think it's really good inclusion. There was someone I saw at EUIC play a 4 Mortys list. And I see you're playing 1 Mortys, as well as you're still playing the Snorlax and the Therapeutic. So talk about those 3 cards specific and what made you include those cards in your list.
Yeah. I know we're playing 17 energies, but oh my God, man. I don't know how much Lugia you guys have played, but you research away energy so much. Like, so much you're discarding those energies. And I mean, Morty's just discard 1, drawing 4 or 5 cards a lot of the time. Also really good for late game. Usually late game is always 4 or 5 on the field, and it feels better than research. But no, I think that the Mortys was just feeling so much better, other than that like 4th research slot, or potentially 3rd Iono is probably what would go in that
Right,
slot.
right.
My what was the other, the
Snorlax
Snorlax?
and
Snorlax, yeah.
Therapeutic, yeah. Are you expecting a
Yes.
lot of Lost Box? Is that what that was for?
Yeah, I was honestly expecting a lot more Lost Box. Like, I can't believe I only hit 1. It's a bad, I would say it's an unfavored matchup. Even also going into the like the NAIC, I think Lost Box is still a pretty bad matchup. It's not too bad, but I would say you're unfavored as Lugia. So just trying to have kind of some extra cards. Snorlax is also just a good attacker. It's
Yeah,
beefy. It's a solid damage. You throw the Therapeutic on there, and you don't fall asleep. Like,
sure.
it's great. But if I want to talk about this too, my 60th card, I was actually thinking about not playing Collapse Stadium.
Oh wow.
I was actually thinking about playing a Thornton instead.
Ooh.
Thornton was like my 61st card. I kept going back and forth. But I decided I'm just gonna keep the collapse in there. It felt good in Indianapolis, so I just kept it in there.
Thornton's always that card you like really want, and you just can't justify putting it into any deck that you want to play it in. But man,
Yeah.
it's good when it's good. It's definitely good when it's good. That's all
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
saying.
if you guys just think back about the matches on stream, imagine if, I mean, for example, that third match, I mean, I started a little bit behind, but we're able to kind of get back in there. Potentially could have Thorntoned off something off the board, or could
Yep.
have Thornton off that Luminion, got
Yep.
Minchino, evolved it, and I could have
Mhm.
knocked out that Entei. So there's just a lot of potential with that card. But man, if you play one fish and it's already on the field, how are you getting to it?
Yeah. That's
Exactly,
true.
yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right,
Oh,
Maddox, you got any more questions about current Twilight Masquerade or
yeah.
what temporal forces
Temporal
meta?
forces. Yeah, no, I think we're all set. And again, just Brandon, massive
Yeah,
congratulations on that
Yeah.
definitely.
finals appearance. Again, well
Thanks, guys.
deserved. Great guy putting good energy into the community, and glad to see it reward you
Yeah.
with a big finish.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
So again, whether you like it or not, you're the new Lugia expert. So again, and everyone, Lugia is a hot deck that people are talking about, mainly because of like legacy energy. New ace spec and temporal forces just enables you to finally have that, rainbow energy that you can put onto any attackers. So when it comes to that, I know a lot of people are talking about, the different attackers to play. Iron Hands is a big one. Also even things like Radiant Charizard, like we've seen before, even the new Wellspring Ogerpon. If so, which of those cards, if any, or maybe you have a couple different Pokemon that think Lugia players should maybe think about going into NAIC?
Yeah. I mean, we will see 100% Lugia players playing Legacy Energy, right? There's no way people are putting the Prime Catcher over that card in there. But I think Iron Hands is for sure a staple. The Wellspring Ogerpon is really good, but I think the threat of it is better. Like, opponents just kind of second guessing the Lugia player to have that, to force them to bench Manaphy.
Mhm.
I've been testing. I'm actually not going to NAIC, but I have people on my team that are going, so I have been working with them. The Wellspring Ogerpon feels very convincing, but the fact that you have to accelerate the energy onto it and put them back in the deck is kind of scary. I mean, what if you're taking 2 knockouts and then maybe one of your Archeops is getting knocked out after that? Wellspring Ogerpon doesn't feel that good if Manaphy's on the board. You're not taking it out, right? But I don't know. It's from like the list I've kind of been testing with. I currently have it out of the 60. It was in there in the beginning, but it's currently out right now. And it's currently the Blood Moon and the Blood Moon Ursaluna and the Iron Hands, and I'm kind of going back and forth with the Weird Deer. I feel like it's also feeling the Weird Deer. The Weird Deer is feeling pretty good in there. But yeah, man, we need, if you are playing Lugia, we do need some people to play the Ogerpon though. So people bench the Manaphy. So we need some people to play that in there.
There you go. So Brandon's saying everyone play it except for you. Get everyone else to play it, but you don't play it, so everyone else thinks you play it, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean,
and after game one, you're like, oh, my Wellspring was prized, and then you can just
I mean, the
Yeah.
Ogerpon can like steal some games,
Oh yeah.
like against a
Mhm.
Dragapult or against a Charizard or even against Lost Box. It's like, oh, I gotta get the Raikou as fast as possible, and you're like, oh yeah, both those comfies are dead, and so you hit me with
Yeah.
Cram. The issue with the attack for me is that it's only 100 active. Right. So it's falling just short of those numbers that are important, 110 in the mirror, right?
Yeah.
To knock out an active, Shinchino and a benched Minchino is an application I really want. So like if you want to play it, I think you got to pair it with something like Vitality Band build to like really just hit that 110 number into the active. Because I think it could be really good in the mirror. I see some value there. But it's just not knocking out Cramorant and not knocking out Cinchinos. That to me is just a little reason not to play it. but I agree with you. I think it's very strong. I do want to go back to one thing you said about the legacy energy.
Mm-hmm.
I could see 2% of people playing Secret Box. I'm I'm
Okay.
just I'm just saying. Listen, it gets you Jacques Ultra Ball. Okay, it gets you Jacques Ultra Ball. It also discards Archeops and gets you Boss. Right? I mean, like,
Yeah.
I could see it. I agree. Legacy energy is absolutely broken in Lugia, but if there's a lot of hate, people playing temples, people playing enhanced hammer, I could see the secret box being good.
Or alternatively, you just open Ultra Ball double Archeops and then attack with Iron Hands
Yeah.
turn 2, right? That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm fighting for it. I mean, I want to see it. I want to see it get a limitless page in Lugia. Someone do it.
Yeah.
Real quick, Brandon, I want to go back to another one of the cards you mentioned. The didn't talk too much about Radiant Charizard, but kind of the new Radiant Charizard of Twilight Masquerade is that Blood Moon Ursa Luna.
Yeah.
How is that card feeling, and is it exactly what Lugia needed?
I mean, it's feeling good. I mean, it's crazy. A lot of people say, man, it sucks you start with this card. Well, you play 4 jet energy. You just retreat something out. What is crazy is like kind of being forced to play the 70 HP Minchinos over the 60. I feel like you still play 160. Maybe I don't know. I feel like you still play at least one of the 60s. Like the call for family is just too good.
I mean, is Dragon Ball even good? Are we just playing three call for families? I mean,
Right? Like
I just like sometimes you just say, hey, send it. Dragon Ball's not a real deck, and if it is, I'll just put a mist on my Chinchino. Like, like that force them to have the hammer combo. Like I can see that argument being made for Lugia players. I
Yeah,
don't know.
well, yeah, no, I see that. Like, something that I'm starting to like again is, I mean, with the past 2 tournaments, like I played Lugia in Indianapolis and in Los Angeles, and I always blind second every single game because I was only playing 3 Lugias and 4 Minchinos. I blind second every single game just because of the call for family ability, because you want to start with Lugia. But now I feel obviously you go first with Carmine, right? You're obviously going first again, is like, it's crazy. So it's like, I don't know, you could kind of go back and forth the call for family. I don't know, because you want to be more aggressive again now. I feel like I've recently been doing more of that slower start. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe Dragapult's just fake.
So let's talk about Carmine again. And that's a card that's come up a lot, right? In your mind, is Carmine this card that, hey, I'm maybe going to play one of to find off a Luminion if I have a good hand for it, as kind of like a Squawkabilly type of card? Or maybe you just say, I don't need research anymore because I got Carmine.
Yeah.
Like, what boat are you in right now?
It's one or two. One or two. I feel like a lot of the times you also might not have that like Luminion to search for it, or maybe the stuff that you're discarding turn 1. I don't know. Like, I feel like you just play 1 or 2. I don't know about 3 or 4.
Yeah, no, definitely at least I know some locals that are debating it. But again, it's a card if you just add again, especially if some list playing like double fish, it's easier to find your one of Jacques, your one of Carmine. You're one of those tech supporters, the Thornton if you wanted to play that. I don't know how it works in Twilight Masquerade, but that's the great part about it. So
yeah.
So sounds like Brandon's ideal list, Iron Hands in, Ogrepon in, unless you're actually playing Lugia. Blood Moon Ursa Luna. I like the Weird Ear. I mean, tell us a little more about that. I mean, I guess it's just a Cinchino that you don't need to evolve, right?
Yeah, I mean, just the damage output, because if like, I mean, Dragapult could potentially do a play where they're knocking out your Chinchino with potentially, if you're going hard on the 60 HP Minchinos, you might get them both knocked out. Next turn comes, what are you doing? Maybe you need that one last knockout to take 2 prizes, and they don't have another 2 prizer on the board, and the Weird Ear might be able to get in there.
How many energy do you need for that knockout with Weird Ear?
So what it's doing, 40 HP. So you need, I'm sorry, it does 40 per special energy. So you need 8. But you could mix it
double
up.
turbos.
Yeah.
well
So you do the double turbos, and each double turbo would be 60. Right.
So 60. But so if you get, man, I don't know my Lugia math.
I mean,
So,
that's like
Yeah.
that's like 6 and 2 double turbos. No, wait,
Yes.
5 and 2 double turbos.
Let's
200
see.
plus 320, yeah, or 120.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If
it's
you did the math
possible.
faster, let us know down in the comments.
Leave a comment.
Yeah. Well, hey man, you're accelerating some energies. You bring it into the active. You're moving the energies to it, right? Like you guys could get there. You could get there.
Oh yeah. Especially if you have some energy on board from earlier, lets you
Yeah.
collect that, right? If they hammer away your legacy or something on your Iron Hands, it's like, oh, and now this just fuels my weird ear, right?
Yeah, that's true. That is a good application of that. I agree with that. So
Yeah.
let's talk about Blood Moon again, real quick, Brandon.
Mm-hmm.
The card's very good. There's no doubt about it. Are we ever playing 2?
I'll be honest. I haven't tried testing with 2. I could see it. I feel like it's mainly an attacker for later game. I mean, I feel like you're max accelerating 1 or 2 energies on there. And the testing I've done, I've never fully like powering it up to
agreed.
attack.
Yeah, you're putting like 3 at most, right? Against Ogre Pawn, you're putting 3.
Yeah.
Right? Against
like,
Miraidon, you're putting 3.
I
Like
think
those 2 matchups where it shines a lot against Ogre Pawn and Miraidon.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's like there could be an argument maybe if you just go down to the 1 fish, or you're not playing the Ogre Pawn, maybe. But I think I'm going an Ogre Pawn before a first Blood Moon or Saluna. Yeah.
A second Blood Moon, right?
Yeah, over the
Yeah,
second one.
yeah.
Yeah.
Cool,
That's
cool.
what I'd say.
Yeah.
All right. Well, cool. I know, again, we obviously love Lugia here, talking up a lot, enjoying it. But I know there's some people are talking about some of that Lugia hate, right? Enhanced Hammer also comes out in Temporal Forces, a re-release of that iconic card. What do you think's the best answer to Lugia hate, right? Enhanced Hammer, but also Temple of Sinnoh still lurking around. Are you playing stadium bumps for that, or or even considering a card like Roseanne's Backup, maybe try to get that legacy energy back?
Roseanne's Backup was on my head when you first started saying that question.
So for Carmine, for Roseanne's Backup, right? So,
yeah.
And for those of you at
think?
home that don't know, you cannot use the Legacy Energies effect to take 1 less prize card more than once per game. But you can use it for a color energy more than once per game.
Yeah, Rainbow Energy. Well, also if they enhance Hammer it away, or if they kill you with Temple of Sinnoh on it, then you can recycle it and use the effect again. So
yeah.
So is Roseanne's Backup a card you're considering, or just a card you chuckle to yourself about sometimes?
Man, if we get hammered, man, we need something else. So that's another big thing too, to like everyone who's building this. I feel like is like, are we scared of Temple? Are we going just one stadium, or maybe are we playing 2? I feel like that's going to be a pretty big question kind of on everyone's kind of mind. I mean, if I'm going to shout out a tip real quick, there is some other decks playing Collapse Stadium. So if you are playing Lugia, you got to be careful with your bench. Don't overbench. Do not bench 3 Pokemon and then get collapsed and then lose the game because you can't double chops. So you got to be careful with that bench.
Very, very true.
That's a good tip, yeah.
I also think and maybe there's another world where you're less concerned about collapsing away your own Luminion, since now you can attack with it.
Yeah, right.
So maybe a card like Messagoza comes back in the list as like your consistency card as a stadium bump for Temple, something like that.
Yeah.
Any other stadiums you've been trying?
I think Messagoza for sure. Messagoza should be. I think I'm probably playing a Messagoza over. If I'm playing 1, I think I'm playing a Messagoza over a Collapsed. Yeah.
That's fair.
Yep.
There we go. All right. I mean, Brandon, any other comments you have on like Lugia for Twilight Masquerade format?
I mean, man, it's crazy. I mean, you guys have been seeing the Raging Bolt, the Raging Bolt deck? Yeah, the Raging Bolt Ogre Pawn deck. Oh my god. Been looking at the results. I haven't played in a newer online tournament yet, but holy, like, my god, there's so many in the top 8, top 16. Holy crap, what's happening?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like a newer version of Miraidon, honestly, where like as a Lugia player, you have to get down to Lugias against them and a Minccino, hopefully, or even just have your Blood Moon in hand ready to go next turn. Let them knock out one, Blood Moon with Legacy on it. And if they don't get rid of it and deal with it, then like the game's just over from there. But the deck's just like it's super aggro. It's a very aggro deck, and that's why it's very popular right now. I think it's better than Miraidon, and that's hot take from a Miraidon lover.
Yeah, right. I know you guys both love Miraidon. I love that I can play Lugia with a lightning attacker again. Let's go.
Brings back to the Raikou days, right? So,
Yeah.
And I know even the I mean even against the Ogerpon deck, I can't remember. Just lost it. It's too fast. Oh, it's like Chen. Oh, I was gonna say it's like Chen Pao, but Chen Pao can attack turn 1 now. With Raging Bull. Like it's just the aggro potential of it and playing Prime Catcher. It's like now if I go play Lugia online, it's like, okay, I hope they don't have Prime Catcher KO my only Lugia.
Yeah. Going back to 2 again. Gotta have 2.
Yeah.
All right, Brandon. Well, we know you're not going to NAIC. I'm sure if you would be playing Lugia with Ogerpon. Wink.
Yeah.
But say you weren't going to play Lugia. So say your Lugia's got left at home and none of the vendors had them. Like what's your next pick? Like what's your second pick for the deck, or maybe a little spicier play for anyone who at home who is interested in something else besides Lugia?
Yeah, I mean, one of my friends has been playing a lot of the Dragapult with the Charizard.
Ooh.
I know it's not the most popular way to play Dragapult right now, but oh my god, that deck is crazy when it gets set up. It's pretty I'd probably be something like that. I've been playing some Miraidon too. I've been playing. It has some good matchups into the top decks, right? Like it's been so maybe Miraidon or maybe like Dragapult Charizard.
Yeah, definitely the Dragapult Charizard having the 2 modes of, you're a small, your small HP deck. I can use Dragapult to spread some damage earlier, or you got big basics. I'm just gonna throw Charizards at you and see how you deal with it, right? It gives you a little bit of best of both worlds.
Yeah, a little bit of everything for sure.
So, and even the Lugia enjoyer himself, trying out a little bit more Miraidon. So.
Yeah. I gotta know my small outs, right?
No, have your friends close, but your enemies closer, right?
Yeah.
It's like I've mastered Miraidon and Future Hands, so I can play Lugia perfectly. So
yeah, for sure.
Well, awesome stuff, Brandon. It's been great catching up with you. Just want to give you a second to shout out any shout outs that you have before we wrap up here.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I know I've already said it to him, but my God, man, Lucas played an incredible that was an incredible finals, man. It was awesome, man. I'm so happy for him. That was crazy to watch. So Lucas, if you're watching this, man, congrats again. That was awesome, man. But yeah, first off, shout out to my sponsor, 88 Card House over here in Newark. I think Eric was telling me earlier that you guys might have some kind of event this week for some NAIC prep. They're actually having one as well this coming weekend. So I'll be there on Sunday. But other than that, of course, shout out to my wife, friends, family. And a huge shout out to our whole community, man. Oh my God. The last 2 days, everyone's been, messaging me, commenting on the post that I made. And man, you guys literally make me feel like I'm like a celebrity or something, man. All your guys' like positive thoughts and what everything you guys have to say, I've messaged back everyone. And I really appreciate it. It's a crazy like good community that we have here in the Pokemon scene. So
yeah, and where can people find you on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it?
Yeah, you guys can find me at Baughn. So just Pokey and then my last name Baughn. You guys have any questions about Lugia, I'm more than happy to answer them. You could send me a message.
Put them in the comments below and we will get them to Brandon.
Yeah,
put them in them answered.
Yeah, put them in the comments below on the video.
Like, subscribe.
But also follow Brandon on Twitter and send him some love. Again, great guy, putting great out into the community. And again, ready to help you out with everything you need. Get you prepped for NAIC and win with Lugia, since he's you're just taking a break now until Hawaii, basically, right?
Yeah, just taking a break. As I said, I have a lot of friends that are going to NAIC, so I have been testing the format and I have been working with them. But yeah, man, we're chilling till Hawaii, so I'll see you guys there.
For sure, for sure. We'll definitely fly high out in Hawaii. So good stuff.
Heck yeah. Thank you guys.
All right, that's going to do it for this bonus episode of the Beach Court Podcast. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Again, we'll be back with another episode next week where we dive into our specific NAIC prep, going over our tier list, key decks, and what you should be thinking about. If you have questions for that as well, feel free to put them in the comments below. Other than that, if you enjoyed, please like or follow on your favorite podcasting platform, and we'll see you all next week.